The IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship charges into the usually peaceful setting near Alton, Virginia, and one of the most picturesque racetracks on the IMSA calendar, Virginia International Raceway. It's the Michelin GT Challenge weekend at VIR, and the event is always busy with the exciting support series racing that IMSA is known for. It's race weekend number 2 for the 2020 Lamborghini Super Trofeo North America Series and their second race of the weekend. It's race number 2 of round number 2 of the Lamborghini Super Trofeo North America Series from VIR. Welcome to NBCSN's coverage of the most exotic one-make series in the world. I'm Brian Till. Jeremy Shaw will join me in just a few moments for all of today's action. But first, a quick check of the weather. A comfortable 74 degrees, a few clouds, a slight breeze from the southwest, and a very, very slim chance of rain. The class of the field yesterday in the Pro Category Race 1 winner was Stephen Agacani along with Jacob Edson in their number 6 U.S. Racetronics Lamborghini Huracan Evo. Madison Snow will be piloting the number 16 from Change Racing, and he'll be looking to improve on a third-place finish from race number 1 yesterday. In Pro-Am, the 63 Change Racing Lamborghini with the lineup of Mcaleer Snow, that's Madison's younger brother, and Corey Lewis, well, they'll be the ones to watch, as will be the number 25 of Ashton Harrison and Andrea Amici. They'll have to charge through the field as they are starting back in 14th after not setting a time in qualifying. There's truly no better way to get a look at VIR than from behind the wheel of a Lamborghini. Let's take a lap.
Hi, this is Ashton Harrison here, driver of the number 25 at Wayne Taylor Racing, Harrison Contracting Lamborghini, and this is a lap around VIR. As we enter turn 1, when a heavy brake, as we bend it in and eyes up, we start focusing ahead and roll onto throttle. Most important thing is straightening those hands up and getting to full power as quickly as possible. So very quick left-hander as we come on. Braking heavy in the middle, eyes up, little curving, big power using all of the exit. And here comes the tight configurations, heavy braking as we turn in turn 3. As we eyes up, look ahead, roll in the power, being patient as we come around. As we focus ahead, as it starts to straighten up a little bit, I start focusing on what corners are coming up, making sure, as always, your belts are tight and you're breathing, you're focusing ahead. The S's are very quick, so as flat as possible, which sometimes can be challenging, but big gas all the way up. Heavy braking, downshifting the 4th gear, eyes up, roll in the power, use all of the exit. As we come to what used to be Oak Tree, another heavy brake. As we come into the corner, you want to be super patient. It's very important to get a good run. I personally like to square the corner up and a big gas as we head onto the back straightaway. At this point, this is a great moment to take a look ahead and see what is in front of you, including competitors and what you may be able to do to make any kind of moves on them on the upcoming corners as we get close to finishing this lap. So big gas and a heavy brake at the one board as we come into what's called roller coaster, my personal favorite. Tight to the inside and roll big power. When you use the curbing, come all the way out to the exit, focusing on your line only, coming into a big braking zone and eyes up. It's important to get a run off this corner as you enter the front straightaway. Another big gas, and there's a lap around Virginia International Raceway.
Where is Virginia International Raceway? Well, it's about an hour and a half north of Greensboro, North Carolina, 3.27 miles in length, and this is exactly the way the track was designed in 1957. Turn 1 is good passing. Turn 12, you can get it done there. The better spot, 14, and then through the very high-speed diving turn known as hog pin onto the front straightaway. That leads you to the checkered flag, and hopefully you're the first one to see it. A beautiful day here in Southern Virginia, and to get to the racetrack actually from Danville, you have to cross into North Carolina and then back into Virginia to actually get to the racetrack. Before we get to round 2 of the weekend, let's take you back to round 1 and show you some highlights from round 1. Stephen Agacani starts on the pole position alongside Leo Lamelas. Good run down into turn 1 for Agacani and some good racing. Stephen Mcaleer in the number 1, the black and blue number 1 machine. A good dive up the inside, trying to find some positions there, and it was a tussle all day long. The number 13, Neil Alberico, going off in hog pen through the grass. Did a good job of saving as much of it as he possibly could. And there's Mcaleer again with Madison Snow now in that snow white number 16 having a spirited battle for second place. Mcaleer, a much better car than he had at Road America. Then Lance Wilsey spins, gets stuck in the grass. So damp here this weekend, heavy rains on Friday. But in the end, checkered flag, Jacob Edson, Stephen Agacani, they win and take the championship lead. Remember, they also won at Road America. What can they do today? Well, Jeremy Shaw, welcome in. It's a great field of Lamborghinis. Tell us how they'll line up for the start.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. We were expecting 68 cars. Unfortunately, 3 of them will not start today. That's John Hennessy, Sidney McKee, and Lance Wilsey, who did drive in yesterday's race. But the good news is Ashton Harrison and Andrea Amici in caliber 25 will be taking the green flag today, starting at the back of the field in 13th position. Row 2 on the outside is Brandon Godovic in caliber 46 for Precision Performance Motorsports, alongside yesterday's Pro-Am winner, caliber 24 from Brazil for US Racetronics, is Leo Lamelas. Front row of the grid, Madison Snow for Change Racing, car number 16 on the pole position. The winner yesterday for US Racetronics in car number 6 is Jacob Edson.
Oh, and it should be a good one. Edson and Agacani have been dominant in this series. Madison Snow, Brian Sellers, they gave them a run for their money at Road America in rounds 1 and 2, but they have been so quick this weekend. They are the team to beat. And right now, on the pole, that number 6. Looking for that green. They're stacked up, and Edson really kind of holding things up alongside. Good jump by Edson there at the start. Down to turn 1, Madison Snow and that white 16 gets shuffled to the middle. He's the meat in the sandwich, and contact early on. I think it was the 24 of Leo Lamelas, Jeremy, that got to the side of Edson.
I think it was, and ironically, those two, there's another car off the road as well. That's Lamelas, I think, also off the road again himself this time at turn 2. Ironically, Leo Lamelas and Neil Albruca, they were teammates in the IMSA Prototype Challenge Championship a couple of years ago. So that's really disappointing for both of those two to make mistakes early in the race. And that has led through into the lead. Now, was that Danny Formal in the lead? Sergio Jimenez, I think, perhaps in car number 13, has come all the way through from the third row of the grid to lead this race.
A bold move there by Lamelas. He doesn't know these cars all that well and got in there, gets it to the side of Jake Edson, and I think he damaged the right front suspension. That's why we saw him off there in turn 3. That is going to shake up not only this race, but the championship. I spoke too soon when I said the 6 had been dominant, because we're only 4 rounds in now. We're going to have to go full course caution to get the stranded vehicle of Leo Lamelas, and you can see that right front tire or wheel turned in, so damage to the suspension there on the 24. Day done early for Lamelas.
Yeah, that's a really disappointing start to the race. Or the good news is perhaps that the number 6 car is able to get going again. Hopefully no damage. Let's have a look at the replay. Edson's a long way clear heading into the first corner. Leo Lamelas dives down the inside. He passes about 3 cars and then just takes out the race leader, Jacob Edson, who's completely minding his own business. That was a pretty poor move there from Leo Lamelas. And as you see there, the result of that suspension damage, he just goes straight on at turn 2. Good news for him, he didn't hit the barrier, so no more damage to that car, but that car will be out of the race.
back to green. We'll see how he races in a Lamborghini Huracan Evo here at VIR Super Trofeo North American action, heating up, getting exciting just literally from the drop of the green. Now we'll restart. And if you're Jake Edson, you want to have confidence in your car. You want to feel it out. And the reason you need that confidence is because, as I said earlier, this is an old school racetrack. These cars 170 miles an hour down the back straight into turn 14, and they are flat out through the beginning of the climbing S's, turns 7 and 8. So you want to be confident that the suspension is aligned properly and that you've got nothing questionable going on. The speeds, the loads in these cars are extreme.
Yeah, they are. These are real race cars. I mean, they're brutes of cars. They sound fabulous. They have various driver aids to help the drivers. They have anti-lock brakes and traction control, but they are still real handful to drive. And, you know, having experience in these cars is very, very important. Having said that, Sergio Jimenez has virtually no experience in these cars. This AMSA Motorsports team for which he drives in that car number 13, making its debut this weekend. He's now fallen back to... no, he still leads the race, isn't he? But no experience at all for AMSA Motorsports, no testing, no serious testing coming to this weekend. So to be leading a race is really, really impressive.
Absolutely impressive. And this was one of those deals where when we think about the championship, the good news for Jake Edson and Stephen Agacani is there are 4 classes of cars running out there. So it's not like you have 15 or 20 cars per class. So even though they've fallen to the back, they can move forward and collect reasonable points for the day. So Edson needs to keep his wits about him and understand the car that he's got to work with. For that man right there, Madison Snow, he needs to make sure that he gains as many points as he can and that he stays in front of the 6. As we came into round 4, Edson and Agacani with a 5-point lead in the championship. So if they're a little back further in the order, this is the time for Madison Snow to make hay and gain as many points as he possibly can.
Yeah, well, that's certainly true at this stage. This top 3 just edging away just a little bit from the 4th place car of Corey Lewis, who's worked his way up there from the 7th position on the grid. And right behind Corey Lewis is Danny Formale in the 2nd of the AMSA Motorsports cars from Costa Rica in car number 99. He's another guy with very little racing experience coming to this weekend, but a star, a mega star in the shifter kart ranks.
Shifter karts are crazy, crazy things. 125s are one thing, but 250s are absolutely insane. Another driver that Madison Snow's going to have to contend with right behind him, Stephen Mcaleer, in the number 1 Prestige Performance Wayne Taylor Racing Lamborghini Paramus entry. And already today, Mcaleer has experience on this racetrack. He competed in the IMSA Prototype Challenge race, so he knows the condition of the racetrack this morning, knows what he's got underneath him now. The only thing he has to do is acclimate himself back to the Lamborghini from the Prototype Challenge car.
That's right. He had a podium finish, I think, in that race. It's been a long time ago now. But he, as you say, that track experience certainly is going to help Stephen Mcaleer, and he will take over that number 1 car for the second portion of this race with the young Englishman, Stuart Middleton, 20 years of age from Ashington in the UK, running in 3rd place, right behind Madison Snow. But it's still Sergio Jimenez who leads for AMSA Motorsports.
Little attempt there by the 46, Brendan Godovic, as they dive into turn 1. The good thing for Mcaleer, like I said, he's got experience on the track today, but he and Stuart Middleton both believe that number 1 Lamborghini is a much, much better car than they had for the 2 rounds at Road America. They really fought with the chassis and the handling there, and they worked with their team to get that sorted. And it's one of those deals that as they've made improvements throughout the weekend, and they're a new driver pairing as well, you got to think that the 2 of them need to find that happy medium to the car that's going to give them both the best performance that they can, and not just leave one of them hanging while the other one benefits from the car that's exactly to his liking. So that team getting to know each other, the drivers getting to know each other, and getting to know this Lamborghini Huracan Evo. And they've got the performance this weekend that they were hoping to have back in rounds 1 and 2.
That is true. The last lap around for the lap time for the race leader, 1 minute 47.7, but the fastest lap of the race was set by, yes, Jacob Edson. He's back in a 9th position in that car number 6, the Sada US Racetronics entry, representing the Beverly Hills Lamborghini dealership, back in 9th, but making quick progress through the field.
Right now, it's Jimenez up front in the Pro category, Corey Lewis in Pro-Am, Gomez in Am and in LB Cup. Well, actually, I misspoke. That's Gomez in Am. Yep, I was right. I got confused there for a moment with the colors. And then Randy Soleri, who's really kind of owned LB Cup through the first 3 rounds, leading there.
Yes, indeed. And for the first couple of laps, it was a pole sitter, Matt Dickin, who held sway in the LB Cup, but he's now been passed by Randy Solari. So Randy Solari is now back in the lead in the LB Cup category in 10th position overall. But Matt Dickin is hanging with him in 2nd place.
I was looking at that leaderboard, Jeremy, and with all the different colors, it kind of looks like a totem pole over there. I got confused with exactly which color was which. I don't know why I didn't look at the box just below it that has the description of each class. That just shows you how focused I was on just one thing. The driver's focused on one thing right now. Jimenez focused forward because he's got Madison Snow all over his rear wing. The top 3 have been this way since the restart.
What a debut for AMSA Motorsports, representing the Broward dealerships. They have 2 cars here, number 13 and number 99, that's running in a very strong fifth position as well, with Danny Formal from Costa Rica. But these 2 cars, they were run before by the P1 Performance team out of South Florida, represented the Broward dealership. But Sergio Jimenez, lots of experience, all sorts of different cars. I don't think he's driven a Lamborghini before, and very little testing, but he did drive in the FIA GT1 Championship about 10 years ago, so he certainly has a goodly amount of experience in this type of car.
That's the experience of Madison Snow in one of these Lamborghinis, also in the, oh, there you go. Hey, I'm here.
Yeah, but Sergio Jimenez, as I say, an awful lot of experience in all sorts of different cars, and he might not have much experience in these cars or at this racetrack. His first time here to Virginia International Racing. No testing at all. Limited track time yesterday because of the weather also, so hats off to Sergio Jimenez. He's got that power down really nicely on the front straightaway. There's no way that Madison Snow is close enough to attempt a passing move at turn 1.
I'm impressed with Jimenez, that is for sure. I just think that the experience of Madison Snow, both in these cars and at this track, gives him a little bit of an edge. It was that exceptional restart that put Jimenez there. And the reason why I say that is in the technical areas of the racetrack, the slow technical areas, that's where Madison Snow seems to have the edge. Of course, the problem is it's hard to get the pass done in those places. I think he's the faster car right now, but catching someone and getting past them, especially at this racetrack, Jeremy, those are 2 different things.
Well, they absolutely are. You're right there. And the number 1 car there is Stuart Middleton, hanging on there in 3rd position. There's a gap now of about 5 seconds back to Corey Lewis. So there goes.
That may not play well with the officials. We'll have to look at that one again.
No, nor a certain Brazilian.
Yeah, they won't be as red in the face, perhaps, as Sergio Jimenez. Let's see. This is into 11, then 12. Oak Tree, Snow peeks down to the inside. Jimenez turns in, and he just wasn't there.
Pin that on Madison Snow. That was, for somebody of his experience, that's really a surprise that he would make a move like that. I mean, he came from a long way back. He was 2 or 3 car lengths back. He just made contact with the right rear of Sergio Jimenez just as he was turning into the corner. Nothing Jimenez could do at that point. There was no point in, he couldn't get out of the way.
I think that's one of those corners that passing can be done, and it's not uncommon to see it done there, but if the pass is made there, it has to be so definitive, so aggressive. You've got to get the car in there and established well, or you're going to end up with contact like we just saw. To see what the officials end up having to say about that. Meanwhile, Middleton had a front row seat for that, and it might not be too much longer before he's got a front row seat on the race. We'll have to see what Todd Snyder has to say about that contact and whether they do anything about it or not. But in the meantime, Madison Snow is not going to let up at all. He's going to make sure that he keeps the hammer down. And I'm sure he's on the radio going, guys, hey, wasn't my fault. Out of turn 12, the scene of the crime, so to speak, from the last lap. Madison Snow comes. Stuart Middleton in tow. Misidentified Stephen Mcaleer behind the wheel of the one a little earlier. He'll climb in on the pit stop. He's the one that has experience on the racetrack today, but he and Middleton really gelling well in this car. Meanwhile, that fluorescent metallic orange number 13, Jimenez, charging back to the front, and you know he's going to be hot.
Yeah, he is, but right behind Jimenez also, that is Jacob Edson in car number 6. He's set the fastest lap race. Actually, it's just fastest lap has just been reset by Madison Snow out in front of the field, and then by Brandon Godovic, who's running in 3rd position in the number 46 car. Across the line there goes Jacob Edson in that 6th position just now, but 4th, 5th and 6th pretty much nose to tail.
And this is going to be interesting because you've got Corey Lewis in the 63, who certainly knows how to pedal a Lamborghini, a former champion. And then you've got Jimenez with the less experience than Edson behind, a champion from last year in Pro-Am. Both Edson and Jimenez feel like they have been wronged, that's for sure. And then you've got Corey Lewis, who's leading in Pro-Am, really doesn't need to fight these two, but you know that he wants to have that car as far forward as he possibly can before he hands it over on the pit stop to McKay Snow.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that Corey Lewis is running pretty conservative there in 4th position. I mean, he's a multiple-time champion in these cars. Admittedly, he's only running in the Pro-Am class, so he's not really fighting them for position on the racetrack. But with his experience, I'm surprised he's not dicing at the front of the field. He's already at the better part of 10 seconds behind the race leader, Madison Snow.
Well, keep your eye on the number 16 car of Madison Snow, because the report that I'm getting is that there may be 2 pit stops today for the 16. One of them not so much a stop, the other one just a trip through pit lane with a contact there with Sergio Jimenez in turn 12. Okay, now this is interesting. I'm looking at the 6 car, and obviously pit stops are a little bit longer in Lamborghini Super Trofeo North America. It's a minimum pit stop time of 81 seconds if you have 2 drivers, a little bit longer, 84 seconds if it's a solo driver. The 6 was sitting still for a long time, and they just raised it up on jacks and replaced the right rear. Now, I can understand replacing the right rear because that's where that contact was made, so you want to make sure that if there was any damage at all, that you get that tire taken care of. It just seemed to happen very late in the stop, almost like it was an afterthought, or like perhaps they were going to go, then realized there was a problem, then changed it. It lost 10 seconds on the stop.
Well, that's the same. They had the same problem at Road America last time out, at number 6 driver pairing with Stephen Argentani and Jacob Edson. They lost time there. They were able to come back and win that race primarily because the number 16 car of Madison Snow, then sharing with Brian Sellers, they had a penalty of their own as a result of jumping the start. In actual fact, they had a 5-second penalty, and there was less than 5 seconds between the first two cars at the checkered flag. Therefore, Jacob Edson and Stephen Argentani, despite their longer pit stop than necessary, ended up winning the race.
Yeah, I still wonder how you do that. I mean, I guess you just run qualifying laps, but you're really kind of racing an invisible enemy, and that is the clock. When you know you've got a time second penalty and you're trying to judge where you are with the car that's behind you, I guess all you can do is lay down the fastest lap that you possibly can and hope that the gap is big enough that it doesn't hurt you. They were not able to, they being Madison Snow and Brian Sellers, able to do that at Road America. Brendan Godovic now being shown up front. All of this is going to change as we see this, the cars and the leaders coming to pit lane for that mandatory stop. Once again, 81-second minimum stop, and you want to be right at 81 seconds, or 84 if it is a solo driver. Jimenez will be climbing out of the 13. Handing that over to Neil Alberico. Alberico, another very experienced driver. And Jeremy, one of the things I like about this series, and you and I spoke about this at Road America, I think there are more young professional drivers looking at this series as a way to increase viewership, so to speak, on their careers. And they've understood it as now a legitimate step in their professional progression up the sports car racing ladder.
Certainly true. Jacob Edson is a prime example of that. He was making a very good name for himself in the open wheel ranks. He got an opportunity, first of all, to drive in the Porsche series, and then last year in the Lamborghini series. And as a result of winning the Pro Championship, Pro-Am Championship last season, super impressively, he's got an opportunity to be one of the official young drivers for Lamborghini. Same with Stephen Argentani, who came within a point of winning the AM category last year, despite missing the first two races of season because he was too young. You have to be 16 to drive these cars. But he came within 1 point of winning the championship. And he, Stephen Argentani, is not only concentrating on this championship in North America this season, trying to win the pro category, but also racing in the Italian GT3 Championship for a Lamborghini-backed Lamborghini team.
All right, so
he certainly pushing it as a stepping stone.
So since pit stops are happening, we're kind of cycling through, waiting to get the order kind of back as we would expect it to be. Philosophical question for you, Jeremy. How young is too young?
Good question. In these cars, in this series, you've got to be 16. I think in IMSA competition, you've got to be 16, actually. Yes, it's IMSA competition, you've got to be 16, which to me, to be driving this sort of a car, is incredibly young.
Problem. That's the 74 off. And right there at turn 11 for Tom Kerr, TPC Racing, this is their first race in Lamborghini Super Trofeo North American Series. Tom Kerr's first Lamborghini race. IMSA Porsche GT3 Cup driver, but TPC has expanded their operations now into the Lamborghini Series, and Tom Kerr said, hey, sign me up. I'd like to drive one of those. So from one make series to another with perhaps a little more exotic car underneath him and certainly more horsepower, Tom Kerr, just that little problem there in turn 11, not at all the first problem we've seen in that corner throughout the multiple classes that have raced here this weekend. Brandon Godovic in the 46 through turn 1. Things will eventually settle out as all the pit stops happen, and the order will get somewhat reestablished with 22 minutes here to go. Godovic being shown as the leader right now. He has made his stop. Then Mcaleer, and then Corey Lewis. That's the top three on the racetrack right now, according to timing and scoring. The 46, the 1, and the 63. So Our graphic just a little bit off after the pit stops have cycled through. That will catch up, and playing catch up is Stephen Mcaleer trying to close the gap just over a second to Godovic in the 46.
Yeah, and the other car that's making up ground is number 6 car, long way back. Disastrous pit stop for Jacob Edson, Stephen Argentani, the US Racing car that was punted off on the first lap, moved its way back up into the top 6 before the round of pit stops, but then it's all gone wrong again, and back in 9th position now, and a full 37 seconds behind the race leader.
Corey Lewis, who leads in Pro-Am and 3rd overall. There's your leader. You can see the black and blue number 1 of Stephen Mcaleer just behind Godovic. But Godovic right now, the fastest car on the racetrack, or one of and the only thing that matters is he's faster than Stephen Mcaleer because he continues to extend that gap, 4.5 seconds now.
He did. On the previous lap, he set his best lap of the race, car number 46, Brandon Godovic. And he's doing exactly what he needs to do at the moment. The pit stop was fractionally short of the minimum time that is allowed, but thankfully not too great. So he's able to get away with it. He just had that penalty of less than a second, and he's pulling away from Stephen Mcaleer at about a half a second a lap. Mcaleer, meanwhile, well clear of number 63 car of Corey Lewis, who's running in 3rd position overall, top of the Pro-Am class, and behind him is number 16 car of Madison Snow.
It's so interesting,
stop, isn't it?
Yeah, so interesting. If you want to know just how racy these cars are, the setup is critical. These are not just street cars that these drivers get in and go. We were talking about the top speed, the performance capability, and all that. Stephen Mcaleer and Stuart Middleton not at all happy at Road America. We were talking about that earlier, and they felt like they found a better package here, but it's still not good enough. And Stuart Middleton, another one of those Lamborghini young drivers, and Stephen Mcaleer, certainly a very experienced race car driver, and they're unable to get the handle on the car and make it just right, just losing those few tenths each lap to Brandon Godovic out in front. I know they'll continue to work once they leave here and before we get to our next round, which is going to be at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta, in just a couple of weeks. But it shows you how sensitive these cars are to setup.
Yeah, it does. I mean, these are very sophisticated race cars, and the track conditions right now are absolutely perfect. The sun's out. It's warming up today. It's going to be another hot one, I think. But you can see there how hard the number 1 car, Stephen Mcaleer, is working through that S's section. The car was sliding sideways. Stephen Mcaleer on the gas here, really pushing hard. But Brandon Godovic, with his greater experience in these cars, is pulling away at the front. He has that penalty of just less than 1 second for a too short pit stop, but he leads now, does Brandon Godovic, by 5.1 seconds.
Godovic racing not only Stephen Mcaleer, but the clock. He knows he has that penalty coming. And speaking of the clock, 11 minutes to go from round 4 of the Lamborghini Super Trofeo North American Championship from Virginia International Raceway. Brian Till and Jeremy Shaw with you. Brandon Godovic now is going to have to work with some traffic. This is going to change that gap that he had over Stephen Mcaleer. And this is what we were talking about, Jeremy. That traffic can really hurt you. And when you know you've got a penalty coming, you can't afford to lose those precious seconds, because they're going to take some away from you at the end of the race anyway.
Yeah, indeed, and that's Tom Kerr, who's already had an off early in this race, making his debut this weekend, along with the TPC racing team in Lamborghini Super Trofeo. That's cost Brandon Godovic an awful lot of time there, and up behind him now is another lap car. That is the the LB Cup leader, Matt Dickin, who's just been lapped by the overall race leader.
Well, it cost Brandon Godovic 2.5 seconds. He had a 5-second lead the last time by, closed down to 2.6. And if those drivers now understand that the leaders are coming, they may make it easier on Stephen Mcaleer. Not that they were being difficult on purpose for Brandon Godovic. And it really depends on where Mcaleer catches them. Godovic caught him at the worst possible time down through what they call roller coaster and through hog pen, which leads on to that long front straightaway.
Yeah, this battle isn't over yet, and certainly Steve Mcaleer will be hoping he can work his way through. There is number 99 car, Danny Fulmal, running in 5th position. He's also putting a lap there on the 03 car of Randy Solari, who's running in 2nd position in LB Cup, having had that drive-through penalty. So Danny Fulmal, what a debut this has been for the youngster, just 24 years of age, from Costa Rica, lives now in Boca Raton, Florida, and he drives for the IMSA Motorsports team. And he actually runs a new arm of that team that was been set up over the winter by Alan Nadal, the team principal there, IMSA Karting. And Danny Fulmal runs that IMSA Karting team. He's also got the opportunity to drive this Lamborghini race car as well, and boy, is he loving every moment of it.
I'm not only impressed with Danny Fulmal, as you said, with the performance he's putting on the racetrack, but we've spoken about these cars being sensitive to setup. You've got to be right on it. Top level teams running this equipment, and IMSA certainly is a top level team in whatever series they have run in over the years. But on their first attempt on a race weekend in Lamborghini Super Trofeo North America, they've shown just how formidable I think they're going to be. Fulmal right now 2nd in that Pro-Am category and has been impressive all afternoon.
That's a battle there for 6th, 7th and 8th positions. It's currently 6th position held by Neil Albarico, but he's got Andrea Amici looking to the inside at turn 4, wisely deciding he wasn't quite close enough to make that move. Neil Albarico holds on, but I think, into the next corner, there goes Andrea Amici, and Stephen Argentani also looking to take advantage of the slight loss of momentum for Neil Albarico in car number 13.
Good story, that 25, after the problems in the first qualifying that had the car so badly damaged, they were able to get this car. It's my understanding, Jeremy, the reason the 25 car is in and that Lance Wilsey is not is because that is Lance Wilsey's car.
That's correct. Yeah, Lance Wilsey, he was driving also in the Prototype Challenge race earlier today. Had an incident in that race, and he's withdrawn from the 2nd round this weekend. So that has enabled Ashton Harrison and Andrea Amici, who are running for the full season. Lance, this was just a one-off appearance for him in this championship, so he's stepped aside for this 2nd race. And at least for Amici and Harrison, they'll only miss one of the 12 races of the season. So there was a look there. That was a look there, I think, of number 16, Madison Snow, making a move on Corey Lewis for 3rd position. The white car moves ahead of the black and red car. So Madison Snow, having served that extra penalty for the incident responsibility, now back up into 3rd position overall.
You know, I've got to wonder about the 6 and the health of that car. Obviously, they had the long pit stop. I get that, but I wonder if it is whole after the contact there at the start there in turn 1. I know the car seems to be running fine, but I wonder if it might not be just a little bit off. Certainly the long pit stop did not help them at all, but you got to wonder if they wouldn't have clawed their way back up the order a little bit more. Madison Snow served a penalty and is much further up the order. Godovic leading its pro cars 1, 2, and 3, and he's been able to continue to expand that lead over Stephen Mcaleer, and that is key, Jeremy, knowing that he's got to serve that penalty. It's just under a second that they're going to take off of his total race time, or add, I should say, to his total race time, and that's going to put Mcaleer a little closer, but he really needs to be within a second of Brandon Godovic at the checkered flag, or otherwise Godovic is going to own the victory.
Yeah, and another second Godovic pulled out on that last lap, so he's doing exactly what he needs to do. The 28-year-old from Yorktown in Virginia, so a home race for Brandon Godovic and this Precision Performance Motorsports team. They're representing the Palm Beach dealership of Lamborghini, and he's doing an absolutely exemplary job at the front of the field.
Good run indeed for Godovic. He should see the white flag this next time by.
It was coming into this weekend, Brandon Godovic was tied with Stuart Middleton and Stephen Mcaleer in the points table. A little bit of a way back from the leaders, but this will be good for certainly for Godovic's points score as the season progresses.
And he was fourth yesterday here, and after provisional points, after yesterday, he had sole possession of fifth in the championship, but not really the results that he has wanted throughout the year, but with some problems for other people and a flawless run today, he has been in charge really since the pit stops and all that cycled through, but he's run up front the whole time. And then from the pit stops on, Brandon Godovic has really been in charge. He needs to stay in charge for another 3.27 miles, Jeremy.
Yeah, he did. He slipped back on the first lap with that Schmozzle at turn one. He was kind of caught up in that and lost a fair bit of ground. He lost a couple of positions, so had to run in sixth place in the early stages, but was one of the quickest cars on track. On lap 9, he actually set what was then the fastest lap of the race, so he's done just a really super job all the way through this race. And the pit stops was well, almost perfect. It was slightly too fast, but not too fast to earn a draconian penalty, just a penalty of a little bit less than 1 second. But he'd stretched this margin over Stephen Mcaleer by, well, at least a half a second a lap, sometimes more than that.
I mean, think about how close he was, like you said, to something much more draconian. The time short was 0.912 seconds, so another 88 1,000ths of a second, he would have been coming down pit lane.
Yeah, that doesn't bear thinking about from his perspective, that's for sure. But it wasn't, so he didn't, so he won't have to.
There you go. It wasn't, so he didn't, so he won't.
And now less than a mile to go for Brandon Godovic, and he's looking for his 6th win in his 61st start in a Lamborghini Super Trofeo in North America.
You know, hats off to him, though. It's like you said, he struggled a little bit early on, got through that Schmozzle at the start, and that's what was important. And now, as Brandon Godovic comes through Hogpen onto the front straightaway, Precision Performance Motorsports and Brandon Godovic, they're going to celebrate with champagne. They'll stand on the top step as they take the victory in round 4 of Lamborghini Super Trofeo North American action from Virginia International Raceway. Great run by Brandon Godovic. What about Corey Lewis in Pro-Am? I think Corey Lewis put in the drive that he needed to. He knew which class he was running in. He didn't get tangled up with the leaders in the pro category when he could have raced them for position. It didn't matter. That's what matters for Corey Lewis, and that is the win in Pro-Am at VIR.
And he will take the checkered flag probably around about 15 seconds ahead of Danny Formal. But it's certainly been an excellent weekend for Danny Formal to finish in second place in the Pro-Am category for IMSA Motorsports behind the multiple series champion, overall series champion Corey Lewis. Andrea Amici will finish third place in Pro-Am. And a little bit further down the order, Victor Gomez, the 4th, heading now to the checkered flag, and victory once again for the 4th time this season in the AM category, also for Change Racing.
Matt Dickin took the checkered flag as well in the LB Cup category, so congratulations to him. He has stopped that win streak that Randy Solari was on from round 1. Welcome back to Alton, Virginia and VIR. Race number 2 of the weekend for the Lamborghini Super Trofeo North America Series has seen the checkered flag. Let's go to victory lane and hear from the winners.
I don't know, honestly. It was, I got a good start, and I thought I may be able to get around the 16 on the outside there and maybe pick up P2, but I'm not sure exactly what car came flying out of nowhere and took the leader out, but I lost 4 spots there because I had to check up as the car backing up, and then just steadily picked my way through them, and we nailed the pit stop strategy there and was able to get ahead of the 1, which is super important. And then I thought I was going to be able to, I knew I had the car to catch the 16, but passing was going to be, another challenge, but I guess they got a penalty or something and just kind of handed it to us. I kind of wish, it's fun to win, but it's also fun to battle for a win. So I kind of wish they hadn't had that penalty there, and we could have, I'd like to see the kind of show we probably could have put on there.
In the pro category, as we said, it was Godovic, Mcaleer, Snow, then Argentani and Alberico. Pro-Am, Lewis, Danny Vermael on a great first run. Then Andrea Amici, Ashton Harrison with that borrowed car, and Leo Lamelas with the problem in lap 1. He'll be classified in 4th there. Victor Gomez in AM, and as we said in LB Cup, Matt Dickin stops the win streak for Randy Solari. Points-wise, I don't know. Jeremy, Jacob Edson, Stephen Agakani still going to stay up front?
Yes. Give me a second on that. Yes, they will. I think just about over Madison Snow, who finished in the 3rd position today. So he'll get 10 points. I think it'll be a 5-point lead still for Stephen Agakani and Jacob Edson. That's a very rough gap that's drawn up quickly after the checkered flag.
The next race on NBCSN for the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Series will be round 3 from the Michelin Endurance Challenge weekend at Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta. NBC Sports is your exclusive home for IMSA sports car racing. The Lamborghini Super Trofeo North America Series put on a great show this weekend, as they always do. Congratulations to the winners from today's race, and thank you for watching. We'll see you soon.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of the International Motorsports Association. We would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.